Hey guys, with another tutorial, we are going to be talking about explosions in Blender. And yeah, it's pretty easy to make explosion in Blender. So let's begin the tutorial. So hit Shift A. We will add a flow object, which is, in our case, we're going to add an icosphere, something like this. And then hit Shift A again. We are going to add a cube. Let's just go to X-axis and turn on wireframe. Okay, so we will be able to see actually why we added the cube, because it's a domain object. Why we are adding cube always? Because the smoke will just happen inside this cube. If we don't have a domain, the smoke simulation or the fire simulation will not work. So this is the main idea. Let's just scale it according to the scale of explosion. Let's just make it a little bit smaller, something like this. Make sure to grab everything inside that domain, because if it's outside the domain, if for example if this icosphere is a little bit out of this domain, then it's not gonna work. So make sure to grab this inside it. And yeah, people may get some problem while doing it. It's all due to the size of your object. If your object is very tiny, it might not work. And also sometimes we use a simulation which interact with other objects, like collision. It does so. In that case, sometimes the smoke or the explosion go through the object, and the main reason is that we don't add thickness to the object. So there are some problems that you might get, but it have a pretty easy solution. So let's focus on the tutorial. Okay, so here we added an icosphere and a cube. Okay, so let's select the icosphere and come up to the particle system, add a new one. Actually, we will guide the simulation that what it have to do, what the explosion have to do. So for this we need an particle system. Okay, so here we have to change some settings. Make the in frame to something like 25 and also the lifetime to 25. Okay, and come up to velocity. So come up to velocity, and yeah, we have to change the normal velocity to something like maybe 15. Okay, and actually the simulation is going to happen on a z-axis, so we are going to increase it to 15 actually, and I think it have to be the normal should be 6. Yeah, that's the value. I think it's gonna be 16, will be better. So the next setting that we are gonna do is the field beds. Just expand this window. So we want to animate these. If you play, or so it feels like that. Okay, if you want to have a high level explosion, you can increase the lifetime and the in frame, but for my case I want it to be very simple, just for your information and to make it much easier. So now I think it's like very short. So we can increase this number to something like 32, and this one also 32, and come up to the gravity. For the first time, for the first frames, it's gonna be 0. So let's just hit I. We are going to animate the gravity to make it better. Come to frame number 20, hit I again, and go 2 frames forward and increase the gravity, and then hit I. So actually, at the first frames, we are having the 0 gravity, so all of those particles moves up, but when it reaches the 20, they get back. Okay, so if we now play it will look like that, because it moves downward at the end of the simulation, as you can see. Or you can also just grab this value to have the effect of gravity faster on the simulation. You can grab it to just shorten the 0 gravity effect. Okay, so now it's feels like sphere and it doesn't look realistic. So in order to make it realistic, we can do some settings. Come to source and change this from jittered to random, and if play it, yeah. The next setting that we opt to is hit Shift A and add a force field and a turbulence. Okay, so make sure to move the turbulence a little bit up. So if we now play, nothing is going to happen because its strength is not worth it. Okay, if we increase the strength, in the physics of the turbulence, we have to increase the strength. If play it, you can see it affect the flow of particles. It make it random, which looks realistic. We can increase the number to have a great effect, or we can also grab it on our z-axis, and we can also add more force field to make it better, like a vortex. Let's just try this out if we get something cool. We have to grab it up, so we will have this effect. No, I think it's not a good idea to add a vortex, because it moves all of those particles around. It doesn't feel good. Okay, so you can change this type to something else to grab. Okay, it's a force. If we just go to so make sure that the particles don't move out of the domain object, because it will not look good. And okay, so as you can see, we have some particles moving downward. We can grab these a little bit down. If you play it, yeah, on a z-axis. Okay, so we need a force field and turbulence, the beginning of the simulation of the particle, so they don't move in one order. So let's just grab this z-axis, something like this. Yeah, and we are going to set the ending frame to something like 65, because we just have particles to frame 65. And yeah, we can play around with the settings of our particle system. You can also increase those x and y axis values in order to make them random from the starting of simulation. Actually, they move slower in the viewport, but if we render this out, it's just a sequence of 2 seconds. Okay, it's not a long form. Okay, so our particle system is done, I think. Now we are going to move up to the physics tab, selecting the icosphere, add a fluid sim, and we're gonna make it flow because it's a flow object. Instead of smoke, we're gonna make it liquid, and instead of geometry, we're gonna make it inflow, and in the flow source, we're gonna be making it inflow, outflow. Oh, we selected liquid. Instead of liquid, we're gonna select fire and smoke, okay? Because we will be making an explosion, which will be, smoky and some fire particles. So here, flow source, change this to particle system, and add the particle system that we just created. Now select the domain object, add a fluid, and then add the type domain, because it's a domain. And don't change the domain type, because it's gas. There are just 2 types, liquid and gas, but for now we have gas, so we will let it. We will just check out our simulation. If it's good, then we will increase the resolution of this. Okay, and then another option that you need to turn on is the adaptive domain. It will just faster your simulation, and also dissolve. At the ending, it will have an outro animation which will look good. And okay, so we have type replay, so we can replay it without backing it. Okay, so one thing that we missed up, instead of outflow, we need inflow, and flow source is okay. As you can see, we have an explosion. Yeah, one thing that we want to do is to increase the domain size. As you can see, it's collide with it and it doesn't look good. So in order to fix this, you can increase the scale of these on X and Y axis. So hit S and Shift Z to only scale it on X and Y axis. Now, if we play this, it looks like this. Okay, so in order to make it better, we need to increase the ending frame to something like 80, to see the dissolve effect in the ending of the simulation. Okay. So in order to make it's now very low poly, so in order to make it better, we need to increase the resolution divisions to something like 128. Hit enter, and yeah, change the type to all. This is gonna be our final, you know, back. So hit Control S to save it in order to, and I'm gonna rename it explosion enter, and I have already saved it. Hit Control S, and now head back all. So I'm gonna pause the video till the back done. It might take our time, so after that I will do materials. Okay. So our back is done. As you can see in the viewport, we have a 3D explosion, but it's just a solid view. Okay. In order to grab this render into a render view, we will first set up a little bit render settings, and we will just add some HDRIs for the final setup. So let's just come to the x-axis, grab it on a z-axis, something like this, and hit S and 200 maybe to make it bigger for now. Okay, just grab it on an x-axis and hit tab, select, and hit E to extrude this on a z-axis. We're just doing it a simple setup, and hit Control V to bevel this one, and you know this just add a little bit of final touches. Just grab it. Okay. So here we will do some render settings, change it to cycles because cycles make it realistic. If you hit GPU, then turn on to GPU computer, and then we put the noise and scroll down. In the film, you can just turn on the transparency. And now for the world, we are using an add-on, Real Sky, which is totally free, I think. And just turn on the sky, so we will have a great render settings. Yeah, there's nothing to see. So first we will just add material into the ground, hit new, and just make the color a little bit black, grayish black color. This is the icosphere. Let's just turn this off because we don't need it. Turn it off from the render also. Here is the cube, which is the main object. So in order to add this material, you can just split this window, come to shader editor, hit N to hide this window, to hide that one. So hit new to add a new material. We actually selected the explosion object, which is cube, but in the render we can't see it because we have connected principal BSDF, which are not gonna work. So delete the principal, hit Shift A and add a shader, and add a principal volume shader, and then volume to volume. As you can see, we have something here, but this is not something we want. First thing first, you need to increase the density, and it's totally up to you how dense the explosion you want to be. Here we go. And the other thing that you're gonna do, if you want to make it like explosion, just increase the black body in density. Right now, I increase the temperature value to like make it brighter or darker. Right now we can't see the explosion well. If we turn off this one, if you play around with the anisotropy level, actually higher the anisotropy level, the lower the volume gonna absorb the light. Okay, so as you can see, we got something. Actually, it might not look realistic at the moment because we just have 128 resolution divisions, which is not enough for a realistic explosion. I was just showing you on how to do it. If you're looking for the most realistic explosion, you can just bump up this number, and you just need to increase it to something like 256, which is the highest value for your realistic explosion. And right now it doesn't feel like realistic, but I was just showing you the process. If you follow this process step by step, you will get the same result as I got. So here's the final setup. Select it, select these cube object from here. Yeah, there's nothing to change. Just set your final render settings. That's it. Okay friends, thanks for watching. If you want to get more content like that, hit subscribe button, like it, and share it with your friends. It make a big difference for us because it motivates us to make new contents like this. And yeah, thanks for watching.